concentration stone. A minor illusion to you. That is how a lot of the gameplay in my game with this character went. I created this character journal and I played with this character for about 10 months, maybe 8 months, from July till about January. And it's super fun. I loved having this binder character journal, so I highly recommend you make one. But in this video, I'm going to share how I made this one. Plus, I'm going to get into how I'm going to change it for my next character, and I hope you enjoy. Firstly, I want to talk about the construction of it. I'm just going to move these off to the side here. All right, the construction of it, it's a binder, just like a classic 3-ring binder here. And in this front cover, I made this collage multimedia artwork here that has my character Merilith here, and some stickers and some flowers and bees and things like that, because that's kind of her character. Additionally, the construction is sheets of paper with holes. I'm sorry, this is not a 3-ring binder, it's a 2-ring binder, just FYI. And it has holes in it, in the paper. I also have these laminated, page protected pages as well. And I liked having this dotted paper. Let's see if you can see that. Yeah, the dotted paper. I just like the style of that, but you can see here some of them undotted paper. And then for my character session notes, it's these pages that have a number, date, and then it's lined paper. It would be cool. I think for my next one, I'm going to use this, which is number and date with dotted pages. I just like the dots. That's just my thing. So that's the main construction of it, right? It's just a lot of those pages. So you can see it started here in July. And then it looks like the final session was in January. So do the math on that. That's it. So that's the construction. That's what's made of. But how was it? Was it good? Was it bad? I'll tell you. Where I'll start is the pages that I used the most often was obviously my character sheet. This is just your classic Dungeons & Dragons character sheet. You can download it from dndbeyond.com or elsewhere, and I put my stats on here and things like that, and then I would use a dry erase marker on here to denote when I used spells and when I lost hit points and things like that. A couple sheets that I used quite often were like equipment sheets, and so for these I would recommend not having them in the plastic wrap because I was just adding to them so often. Another piece that I used quite often was this spell sheet that I had made, which basically had different sections for different types of spells. So I had attack spells to the north, to the west. I had defense, utility to the south, and then control to the right. And then I would highlight them with the dry erase marker to denote whether or not it was a prepared spell. And then I also had some bestial spirit stat block here, and probably a couple other just like random things, that we gained along the way, some mechanic type stuff. So these are the sheets that I used most often. Originally, I thought they would all be at the beginning of the book, but what I ended up having to do was at each session, I would basically unclip them and then clip them back in, or even just leave them, or potentially spread them out kind of all around the table, which was kind of annoying. I felt like I just needed so much space for this whole setup. So my recommendations is to take your most important sheets that you're going to use all the time, put them into like a folder or staple them together, or just keep them in a pile like this. I would like to have them like secured in some way, but then have them to the side, to one side. And then this next campaign that I'm going to play in, I'm going to have a spiral notebook that's just the same with this number and date at the top to keep track of session number and the date that session happened. And then I'll have them basically be two separate things. And that way I'm only taking up 2 spots here. And then when I flip this page, like I'll just flip the page and then I'll turn it all the way around like that, and continue writing the notes for that session. This is because it was just so annoying because I had all these sheets all over the place all the time, and it would been great to just be able to sort of flip open my spells in here, know what I was using, or even just have my spells open most of the time. If anything, it probably would look like this. It'd probably be my character sheet to the left, my main session notes, and then my spells to the right. And that way it's a little bit less room, but that's what I would do. I'd take the important sheets, keep them to the left, staple them, or the right, left or right, either way you want to go, and then have your session notes to the right here. That is what I would recommend to dive into what I took notes on. Let's get into that a little bit, huh? Really just wrote down all kinds of things, just anything that was happening. I wrote details about the mushroom room. See, I drew some keys here, some symbols that maybe my DM showed us. These were some characters that came up, some NPCs. This is a dragon. Yeah, and so it's just a lot of fun, really, just writing down everything that came up. And my favorite thing that came up from taking good notes was that towards the end of the campaign, we were going out to sea and we were sailing, and then there was a constellation that basically consumed the sky. It looked like this, okay? And this was the exact thing, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take this down. I'm gonna take these notes and write down this constellation. And then at the end, the door to like the final room where we actually saved my character's parents, the lock on it was a bunch of circles with a single dot or sometimes two dots in each of the circles. And what ended up happening was the constellation was the key to this like puzzle, and he had like these cardboard cutouts of this exact puzzle. And so I was like, wait a second, are those the constellation dots? And I flipped back to my notes, and I had taken good notes of actually where the constellations were. And that ended up being the lock, and it unlocked the room, and we saved my parents. For now, they're quite weak. They've been locked up for like 100 years, they're elves. Actually, I think we left it on a cliffhanger. The last note I have here is, dragon played a cruel trick and bound my parents to the core of the abyss. And that's why you should make a character journal. Thank you, subscribe.